Hello friends, this is Thaddeus from Going Nerd. We just got the dev post from the Q&A and they've updated everything. There's a lot of really cool questions that were answered here, and I think this was one of the better Q&As that we've actually seen from the devs. But I'm really excited about what they've said and what they didn't say. So first question, now this is one of the things that I thought was absolutely fascinating. Are using mod services where an expert logs into your account to help against the terms of service? And if so, is this punishment by a permaban? And the answer is yes. I'm going to say this, and I don't agree with going against terms of service, but having someone look at your account can help quite a bit. While I was away in August, I was out on a family trip. I wasn't able to log on. I was in the middle of a lake, and I wasn't able to log in. I had a friend of mine log in for me to get my dailies, to be able to participate in my raids. It was someone I trusted, someone that I knew, and so he logged in for me, and he just played. Right? It was my normal account. Pretty standard stuff, right? A lot of people do it. A lot of people talk about it. But after I was done, I asked him, I was like, what did you think of my account? What did you think of where I'm standing? And we talked about it, and he gave me a lot of solid advice. And he's been playing for as long as I have, and he opened my eyes. He's like, dude, you should really be focusing on different tunes. Some of the characters you have geared up are great. A lot of them are great. But there's a couple that you're just shy of being awesome. And he pointed that out. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna do that. Now, he could have looked at my SWGOH.gg account and said, oh, all of that stuff is there as well. So I don't know. But advice from an outsider is always smart. Now, paying for the advice is, I think, where it gets a little sketchy. They didn't clarify that here in the post. And so maybe you're not paying, but just giving donations. I don't know the workaround there, but I say we live in gray areas. The world's kind of a gray area, right? Only a Sith deals in absolutes, guys. Now, one question that I thought was fascinating, and I don't like the response simply because of what it means to the universe. So the question is, have you thought about mod trading, right? So allowing players to switch from one mod to another or trade between different mods, saying, hey, I've got this mod, it's great, but I can't use it yet, or it's not super effective. And the response is, yeah, we've thought about that, but it would, all of our conversations devolve into a weird borderline black market behavior that we don't have good solutions for. Now, first and foremost, guys, Star Wars is all about the black market. I mean, like, how did the Rebels get half of their equipment? The black market. Some of our favorite characters, Hondo Ohnaka, operates in and through the black market. Han, Chewbacca, black market. I mean, they weren't smuggling legal goods legally. That would make them shippers. And then that would make them more akin to the crew from Futurama than who they really were, right? They were smugglers. Black market is a thing. And what's interesting about that, and this jumps back to that whole gray area where we talked about having an expert coming and looking at your stuff. I'm not saying that black market is a good thing, but a Star Wars black market? I don't know. Again, gray area. One of the things that was really disappointing in this is when they were talking about new gear, the question came up, daily challenges. Are you going to make them to where they're relevant for in-game players? And the answer was no. I mean, it was a roundabout no. It was I'd love for that to happen, but it was still no. And this is really disappointing because, I mean, the dailies are nice. You go through and you sim. The fact that you don't have to wait for, what was it, like 2 minutes, 5 minutes between simming your daily challenges, you only have to wait 5 seconds. That's great. I love that change, but it's still frustrating as an in-game player to get all of that gear. Now, it does coincide with, I think, what they're talking about with these relics. I think a lot of the pieces that we'll be getting and needing for Relics will probably come from those daily challenges. And so I'm holding off judgment a little bit until I see what the Relics look like. Really, that's where I see a lot of that gear, a lot of that stuff that we'll be trading in and salvaging, really is where I think a lot of that's going to be coming from. And so I don't see that as changing anytime soon. Hopefully that gets added here in the near future, because really we all would love that. I think that's awesome, but I don't know. Will the drop rates for signal data be in the same range as it is for the Omegas? Because let's face it, guys, the drop rate for Omega sucks. I have at the current, I think 40 Zetas and like 10 Omegas or 8 Omegas, and I can't do anything with them. It's infuriating because they just don't drop. And the response is the signal data will follow drop rate of similar to Mod Salvage. Now, Mod Salvage is a lot more free-flowing than Omegas. And so that is very hopeful for me. So it sounds like the gear crunch that we will experience with Relics will still be with gear and not necessarily with the signal data. Now, at least that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm pulling from this. Will it be accurate? I don't know. And again, I hope that that's the case, but I'm not entirely sure. One of the things, and this was the most fascinating, I think, response to any question on this entire post. Why were Relics released so closely after Gear 13? And, they're like, hey, there's a lot of reasons. Here are 3, right? First, it's not about timing in proximity as to what just happened with Gear 13, but what we plan to do next. Now, I was listening to the Escape Pod cast with the guys over there, and they were talking, and I think it was just Paul actually this week, but he was talking about how the Relics could quite possibly create the rock, paper, scissors meta that a lot of us have been asking for and wanting for a very long time. And if that's the case, for end game players, being able to create different teams via different functionalities, different archetypes, I think is really, really cool. I don't necessarily know that's where they're going with it, but it sounds like that's what their focus is. I mean, you're going through the level, you're gearing up your characters to create essentially a roster of different tunes that you can use. Then, once you've learned how to use those different tunes effectively, you can then use different characters to fight, and maybe we will have a Galactic Republic team with Padme and Anakin and Ahsoka and Cup and Jedi Guardian. I mean, I don't know, but it's possible. And I think that's really fascinating. But it sounds like that's where they're going to be focusing on, creating those different archetypes and those different ins and outs. And that's what I'm hoping. I'm reserving judgment, as I said, on Relics. It's not being rolled out the way that I would have liked it to. I would have loved to have a Relic at like a much lower level, and so that introduces that back and forth at maybe gear level 8 or gear level 10. I don't know, something smaller, but I don't know. I'm hoping that this is what that does, because then essentially once you are an end game player, you join this pool of other end game players and you create quite possibly what I think they're going with the game, which is rosters for live battles. Now, I don't necessarily know that that's the case. It's not something that we've necessarily seen to this point, but with the battle logs, with a lot of the different other aspects, I think it's possible that we could see live turn-based combat. I think that's where they're going with this. If it's the case, they've talked about in this post and in a lot of the other posts how this, where they are currently, was never initially in their plans. And it's changed quite a bit. And if that's the case, awesome. What is it morphing into? Definitely want us to be patient with this, and I'm not sure how patient the community can be, but I'm really excited to see where this goes. I really miss marquees. Do you have any plans for the rest of the year? There's a couple knocking around. Maybe that's a hint, knocking around. I don't necessarily know, but I would be shocked if we didn't see a marquee event in September, maybe October, November, December. Maybe not one each month, but quite possibly 2 or 3 between now and the end of the year. The reason for that is we're still missing a series of characters from The Last Jedi, and it is quite possible that some of those characters will be introduced as marquees. Now, it seems weird that Snoke or Grandmaster Luke would be introduced as a marquee character, or even Force Ghost Yoda, which would be awesome. Let's face it, we would all love a cacking little maniacal maniac yelling at us and hitting our people with sticks. I think that would be awesome. But there's still a ton of other characters from The Last Jedi that we just don't have. We still don't have Hux. 2 movies into it, we don't have Hux. Doesn't make sense. We also don't have a capital ship. Doesn't make sense. Resistance doesn't have a capital ship.
You maniacs! You blew it up! Damn you! Damn you all to hell!
Will it be soon? I don't know. But prepare to see marquee events coming towards the end of the year so that at the start of the new year, they can ramp up with the new movie. They can ramp up with all of the stuff pending the movie gets quality reviews. But based on this entire post, when it comes to the gear crunch, it doesn't sound like they're going to be making any changes anytime soon. It sounds like they're going to wait for Relics to be released and then for data to come out. So it doesn't sound like we're going to see anything until maybe the beginning of the new year, maybe even later. I wouldn't necessarily think that they're going to start making changes to rewards, to anything else anytime soon. Quite possibly they might make some tweaks to, Grand Arena Championship, simply because it is still a new thing and they still are testing some stuff out with it. So I could see maybe some tweaks there, but nothing so massive that I think players are going to say, oh, hey, look at that. That's something totally new and wonderful. And I'm now not angry. So this is the second time that my post about SWGOH has been overlooked. I don't see it anywhere here. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I didn't. I don't know, but I'm not seeing it. Let's face it, guys. I want SWGOH. I want more hoodies, beanies. I gotta cover my bald head. Winter is coming, and this dome gets cold. My questions keep getting pushed to the side. They don't want us to be able to buy SWGOH. But what do you guys think? Q&A, what do you think of the game at the moment? Do you think it's going well? I don't know. I'm optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic. That's where I'm at. I love this game. It's a lot of fun, and I love the Star Wars universe. I did just finish listening to Galaxy's Edge, Black Spire. It's essentially the book that leads up to the Galaxy's Edge theme park. You can check that out in the link below. There are a couple of links. One of them is to an audiobook for a free Audible trial. You can check that out. Sign up. You get 2 free audiobooks. The Star Wars stories, the Star Wars novels are really well done audio style. I love them. Check them out. So anything, when you do, you actually help support the channel. Let me know what you guys think about the Q&A. This has been a little bit longer of a post than I normally do. Like, subscribe, share this video with your guild, your friends, family, your mom. Who knows? I'm great with moms. That being said, this has been Thaddeus, and as always, my friends, smile and stay nerdy.